Okay, welcome back to part 2 out of 3. So we're going to be talking about poultices in this one. And poultices is another lost art. You know, if you have a grandma that might have known a lot about poultices and how to use herbs and things. During this hour, I'm going to be giving 7 different poultice treatments. There's many more that can be done. But this is something that is most common things that you have in your kitchen. You don't have to go out and buy a bunch of fancy stuff. Maybe the only thing that you might need to go buy is some castor oil. That's the last poultice I talk about. But we've got cabbage and garlic and ginger and potato and onion and all of these good things. And so we're going to just dive right in. So again, disclaimer. Natural means used in accordance with God's will bring about supernatural results. Do you believe that?
Yeah.
Amen. I think the most important part of giving any treatment is the prayer that you give over it for God's blessing on it. And because it is natural and it's part of His creation and what He has given us, He can add His blessing to it. All right. So poultices, some of you may not be familiar with them and what they are, and that kind of sounds like a strange word. Does it have something to do with chickens or turkeys? Not really. A poultice is a soft, moist mass of material, typically of plant material or flour, applied to the body to relieve soreness and inflammation and kept in place with a cloth. So it's just very simple. They're quick to make. You get some sort of plant-type material, herbs, like I mentioned, there's certain vegetables and things, and you shred them or grate them or grind them or whatever it is, and to apply it to the body, and that's a poultice. Okay? So we're going to be talking, like I mentioned, onion, ginger, cabbage, potato, cayenne pepper, garlic, and castor oil poultices. How can we use these things in various ways other than eating them for our bodies? So let's just dive right in. So the onion poultices, there is cooked onion poultice and raw onion poultice. So we're going to start with the cooked onion, and that is actually very good for earaches, for ear infections, and for boils. And so what you're going to do is you wrap a whole onion in the skin, wrap it in foil, and then you're going to bake that in the oven until it's nice and soft. Or you're going to steam it. Do not boil it in water. You don't want to put the onion in water. So you're going to either bake it or steam it. And then once it is nice and soft, you want to, this one is not cooked. So it's just going to be raw. But we're going to pretend. And once it's nice and cooked, we're going to then, it's hot, you gotta be careful with not burning yourself. We're gonna cut that in half crosswise so that you can see the rings, okay? And what you're gonna do with that is you're gonna get a spoon, you're gonna squeeze some of that juice into the spoon, about a teaspoon, and you're gonna put that into the affected ear, okay? And then what you take is towel, and you're going to wrap up this cooked onion in that towel, several layers, because it's very hot and it holds heat for a while. And you're going to put however many layers you need to where you can put that over that ear and it won't burn it. Okay? So if you go, ooh, that's too hot, then you're just going to put another layer of towel on there, and you get it to where it's hot but not burning. And you're just going to have that over the ear for a few hours. And repeat it as often as you need to. So you can put a headband around your head, or you can use a beanie cap or some tight, snug hat that's going to hold it there. Or you can just lay down with it on your ear for a while until you get that relief, until the onion is cooled off, basically. And when it's cooled off, then that's the treatment. And a lot of times, you only need to do it once, and the pain will go away. Sometimes you may need to repeat it. It just depends. If you do this treatment and it gives you relief, as with any natural treatment, if it gives you relief, then that's your body telling you yes. I like that. And so,
Quick question, whether it's cooked or raw, is that a white onion or yellow onion? Does it make a difference, white, yellow,
doesn't
red?
really make a difference. This is a yellow onion.
Yeah.
Just a
Just curious.
typical onion. Yes, yes, good question.
The red one's going to have a red stain on it.
Oh, the red one's going to put a red stain. Don't use red onions. All right, good to know. So yellow or white, yes. But a lot of times people don't need to use it more than once. It's very good for children with frequent ear infections and all of that. Sometimes the one lady she would get relief from it every time, but then a little bit later the pain would come back, and she did it probably every day for a week, and then the pain stopped and it never came back. So you just have to do it until the pain stays away. And it can be once, it can be a week, it can be whatever it takes, because depending on what your issue is, what's causing it, how severe it is, how chronic it is, all of those things are varying factors in it. So that's for how to use it for the ears. Now, how to use it for boils is that you have the cooked onion and you let it cool until you can put it directly on the boil without burning the skin. So for this one, you do not wrap it in the towel. It's the hot, but not burning hot onion that goes over the boil, and then you wrap that with saran wrap, a plastic wrap around there, and you can put like an ace bandage or a towel or just something to secure it in place, and that holds on there for several hours, or you can wear it all day, or you can wear it overnight, okay? And you repeat it as often as you need to until it has drawn all that out, that infection out. For raw poultices, there's different ways that you can use it on the chest, on the neck, or on the feet. So for the chest, what we're going to do is you're going to slice up some onion, and I basically like to put it in the rings. Typically I would probably peel it at home, but that doesn't matter. And then you're just going to separate those pieces. And depending on how large of a poultice you need will depend on how much you chop up. If you're doing it on a child, you don't need it to be very large to cover their chest. If you're doing it on a large individual, you're going to need to chop up more onion. But all you're going to do is put that chopped onion onto a paper towel or a piece of cloth. You can use old t-shirts that you've cut up into pieces in different sizes, or you can just use paper towel, and that's easily disposable. So whatever way it is you use, you chop that up, you put that in there, and you're going to apply that, put it over the microphone here, apply that to the chest. You can secure it. It's good to cover it with saran wrap, so you might want to wrap some around, or just tape a piece of saran wrap to the chest and then wear a snug shirt or something that's going to just kind of hold it there in place. And that is your raw onion poultice for chest. That's chest congestion, coughing, any kind of respiratory issue. Excellent to do a raw onion poultice for that. The way you use it for the neck is the same thing. You might chop it up a little finer for the neck, but all you're going to do is use a piece of material that is longer, and you're going to spread it out more thinly so that it goes from ear to ear. The onion is covering from ear to ear on the neck, and you fold those sides over where it's all tucked in like that, and you're going to put it around there, and then you can like pin it around, or you can pin a sock around your neck to hold it in place, or you can tie a scarf around your neck or something like that. That helps with sore throats. Very good for when you're sick, for the sore throat. And you want to keep that on there for several hours, but not necessarily overnight. And you don't use the chest poultice overnight either. It can get too irritating to the skin for it to be on that long. Several hours, but not overnight. The one place that you can leave it on overnight is the feet, actually. And all you need to do for that is chop up some onion. Raw onion to the feet is excellent for the respiratory as well. The feet have the largest pores of the body, and so things get into the bloodstream rapidly through applying things to the feet. That's why they say, like with essential oils, apply it to the bottoms of the feet. And you think, the bottoms of the feet of all places have the most rough and calloused skin of the body, but actually it gets into the system faster when you apply it to the feet. So putting a couple of tablespoons of chopped up onion into 2 produce bags like this. And all you do is spread that out, and then you're going to put your bare foot into that bag over the onion, and then you're going to slip a sock over your foot, and there's your onion poultice. And that is something that's great to do. You do the same thing for the other foot, and you go to bed. And that really helps in reducing coughing at night from sickness. Yeah.
What are the properties of the onion, do you know, that would help with?
Not specifically. I know this, yeah, ask someone else that. But it's the onion is always good for respiratory in all things. That's what they recommend whenever you're having some kind of issue, whether applying it directly or to the feet. And there was a family who the child had gotten sick, and they were coughing and coughing after they went to bed. And after an hour, they'd given them cough stuff to take. They were still coughing. So I was like, all right, get the child up. Let's get some onions to the feet. They did that, put them back to bed. No more coughing all night long, and the child was able to sleep. And so it's something
that's raw onion.
Raw, yes. Raw onion for the chest, neck, and feet. It's the cooked onion for the ears and boils. Okay? Other uses for onion is it's an odor absorber. And so you can slice some onions and put them in a bowl and stick them in a room that was freshly painted, or in a smelly refrigerator, or some smelly closet or something like that, and it'll absorb the foul odors. And you can also use it for a sick baby just by slicing up some raw onion in a bowl and set it outside their reach, but set it as close to them as they can. And those effects of the onion, they'll breathe it in. And that will help them with healing. You can also make a cough syrup with honey and onion. And that's very simple to do. You just have your glass jar, however big of a jar you want to make the cough syrup. You chop up some onion, put a layer in the jar, put a teaspoon of honey over that, put another layer of onion, another honey, onion, honey, onion, honey, till that whole jar is filled up. And you let that set for 24 hours. And during that time, all the juices are being released from the onion and getting into the honey. And then you strain that out, and there's your cough syrup. You store it in the refrigerator. You take a teaspoon as needed. You can take it for adults. You can give it to children. You don't give it to babies, of course, because it's honey. But that makes an excellent cough syrup as well. So get that cough syrup, put onions to your feet. You should be good to go. There was another lady who had, I don't remember if it was pneumonia or just a really bad chest cold, and she was having to travel somewhere in the car with her boyfriend, and she just felt miserable, and she was coughing, and so they stopped, and they actually got onions to the bottom of her feet, and she felt so much better. She stopped coughing and was feeling so much better by the time they got to their destination. And so it's just something very useful, right out of the kitchen, good old onions, right? God gave us such a blessing. Okay, so, yeah, you can use it for infections as well. A ginger poultice. Ginger poultices are used for joint pain and inflammation, such as arthritis, gout, an injury, a back pain or backache. and recovery from joint surgery. So if you think joints, you think ginger, okay? So ginger poultices are super simple to make. All you need is either a cloth or a paper towel and a grater and your ginger. And you're just going to grate that until you've got a nice layer for what you're going to be doing. Depending on how finely you grate it, depends on, coming off in pieces there. Depends on how much you have to use. It doesn't have to be super, super fine. I'm just using the regular size grating. And you can use a food processor as well. I just always like to have on hand ways of doing things with, if you don't have access to electricity, you can still do it, all right? Because you may not always have that, and you want to be able to be useful wherever you are. All right, so we're going to say this is good enough. If we're putting it over, say, an elbow or something like that, then we're going to have spread this out and make kind of like a 1/4 inch thickness. And we just get it to where we're folding all 4 sides of the paper towel over that. And you can see it's already getting wet from the juices of the ginger. And all you do is you're going to apply that to your painful joint. You're going to wrap it with plastic wrap and then secure it like with an ace bandage or a towel or something to hold it in place. It could get juicy, so it is always good to extend the plastic and the bandaging well beyond the borders of the poultice so that it catches those drips. And it's something where if you have inflammation in that joint, then you're going to start feeling it burn. Usually within the first 1 to 2 hours. Sometimes it can be sooner, but a lot of times it's within 1 to 2 hours. And that is going to kind of, once it'll start burning, and then it'll kind of wane and burn and wane and burn throughout the time that you have it on. And that means, if it burns, that means it's drawing the inflammation out. It's not the ginger burning your skin. That's what it feels like, but it's not. It's the inflammation being drawn to the surface. And so you start feeling that burning pain, so you know, hey, this is doing something good, okay? So try to tolerate it as long as you can. If you absolutely can't tolerate it, you need to take it off, clean it off, and then give it a rest for several hours, and then you can try doing it again. And then you'll get some more inflammation drawn out that way. And you just repeat it as often as you need to until the pain is gone or until it's not getting hot anymore. And you know, okay, there's no more inflammation in that joint. Very simple to do. And once you use it, you just toss it, you grate up a fresh poultice, put it on. Now, one thing is, if it does get really hot, you've drawn a lot of inflammation into the surface tissues there, then it may be a little sensitive to hot water for a little while after that, okay? But just remember that it's not burning your skin, even though that's exactly what it feels like, okay? All right, and you can, if you want, you can freeze the ginger whole like this and then just grate it frozen and be able to have it fresh, so to speak, if you're not using it often and you don't want it to go moldy and lose it. So you can freeze it and grate it frozen. And if your skin, if you know you have sensitive skin, Something that might help is applying a little bit of castor oil or olive oil before you put the poultice on. Okay, so that can help reduce some of that sensitivity that you get with the skin. So of course, ginger is used for a lot of other things. Ginger tea is used for internal inflammation, for warming the body, for nausea, for morning sickness, all of those good things. And you can either buy ginger tea or you can just make it by grating up about a teaspoon of fresh ginger into a pot of water. And you pour the hot water over that and let it steep, and maybe for like 10 minutes, and then there's your ginger tea. You can strain the ginger out or not. Either way, it doesn't matter. But ginger is just a very useful medicinal herb for using for that. But it's a big one for inflammation of the joints. It's not the only one for inflammation of the joints. You can use other ones. A cabbage poultice you can also use for joint inflammation. Charcoal poultice, which the next lecture is on charcoal, you can also use it for joint inflammation. So it's like, well, which one should I use? Which one is better? It depends on how your body responds to it. You do one, you find out doesn't really do too much, then try a different one and see if that helps more. So your body may respond to one, someone else's body may respond to another one, or your body may respond to all of them. So you just find what works for you and which one your body tells you that yes, that's working. Keep doing that. All right, so cabbage poultice is used for joint and soft tissue pain and inflammation, such as what we mentioned for the ginger poultice, for sciatica, for strains and sprains, for mastitis, for lymphedema. It's also for blood and lymphatic congestion, for wound healing, including ulcers, for skin infections, for sunburns. Cabbage is just excellent inside and out. One of those cruciferous vegetables that is good for all things. That is something simple to do as well. There's several ways that you can do a cabbage poultice. I like to get some plastic out first and double it over while it's easy to work with, and then cut it off. All right, so you've got a sheet of plastic that's doubled, and you're going to take off a leaf of cabbage. I like to always take off the outer leaves and throw them out, because you just never know how many people were handling that and touching it. They're not always the easiest to come off. And depending on the area, size of the area that you're doing, would depend on how much cabbage you prepare. But you want like 1 to 2, you want at least 2 layers over the area that you're doing, whether it's a joint or over a breast for mastitis. It can be for unknown breast pain as well. I have a friend who was having pain and had no idea why, and it just wasn't going away. And so she tried a cabbage poultice, and said as soon as she put that on, it was instant relief. And she applied it once, and that unexplained pain went away. And so even if you don't know if it's going to help, it's worth trying. You cut out that hard center vein, and what you're going to do is you want to crush or bruise these cabbage leaves. And so there's several ways to do that. An easy way is with a meat tenderizer. And you're just gonna, a little noisy. You're just going to bang that until it's releasing all those juices. You can also use a fork to just scrape the leaves, but that's kind of a little less effective than the meat tenderizer or a bowling pin. And you're just going to crush those. And then when it starts really releasing the juices, you can see that. I don't know if you can see how wet the rolling pin is getting with the cabbage juices. And we're just nicely bruising those. And then when they're nice and pliable and soft, we're just going to kind of, I don't know if you can see that kind of, that's all wet and ready to go on. We're gonna just put that in a few layers in the center area here. And we're gonna apply that to any joint, any area, like it says sunburn. And even if you think, oh, wow, I think I need to crush that some more, once you get those layers going, you can do a little more. And then you're gonna put that directly on the skin. And you've already got your plastic there, so that's going to go on the skin as well. This also can get juicy and wet, and so you need to have plenty of plastic edging as well as, secure it, and then wrap it in a towel or wrap it in an ace bandage or something like that, and you're going to wear it for several hours. And it's as simple as that. And that can be for 2 to 6 hours twice a day, or you can wear it overnight. Okay? Another way to make a cabbage poultice that is a stronger potency is by blending it in a blender. Don't add water to it. You cut out that deep vein, you put the leaves in the blender, and you just blend them up. But it is much wetter. That's why it's stronger, because it's really released the juices. And so for that one, I recommend, if you're going to do it that way, that you need to be sitting for the time that you're wearing it. You can wear it for up to an hour, and you'll probably want to put a towel, so like you have it over a knee, you're going to want to put toweling under there and then wrap that knee up, but it's going to be dripping, okay? So just be prepared for that. If you're doing it for mastitis or something like that, then you can just tuck it into like a sports bra or something that you don't mind the juices getting onto, and you wear it, and then once that poultice is done, you throw it out, and if you need more, you make another one. Very quick, simple thing to do with good old cabbage. And it's highly effective. And every time that I've heard people talking about using it, it's always with great relief and with great success. All right, potato poultices. These are used, you can use potatoes for soft tissue pain and inflammation, so not necessarily for joint pain like the ginger and the cabbage, but for soft tissue pain and inflammation such as sprains and strains, for ingrowing toenails, for tissue injury, for sensitive areas of the bodies like the eyes and the lips and the genitals, or for drawing out infections, splinters, debris, etc. Because potato draws. And so if you've got something stuck somewhere, you can put a potato poultice on it and it'll help to draw it out. It too is a very easy and simple poultice to make. You've got your material or your cloth, and you're just going to grate up some potato. Nothing fancy. You want to make sure that it's clean and there's no dirt in the eyes and stuff, because especially if there's any broken skin, you don't want to be getting that dirt into the broken skin. Now, if you grate it more finely, like on this side, it's going to be much wetter and juicier, and so it will be a little more messy to wear. But you're just needing to grate that up. And depending, always, with all poultices, the size that you make it depends on the area that you're applying it to. and how big or small you need it to be. Obviously, if you're doing it for a splinter in your finger, then you don't even need this much. Out of the way. So we're just going to, again, have a nice little layer of potato. And this is almost too much for this size. You fold that in on all sides. And you're good to go. You've got it's already nice and wet with all that potato juice. And a broken record here, you're going to wrap it with saran wrap and put a towel or an ace bandage around it and wear that for wherever you're needing it. It can be over the eye, like I said. I have a friend who got a very, very bad chemical splashed into her eye, and it could have blinded her. But she, initially flushed it out a lot with water, and then she did potato poultices over it to help draw out what got in there. And she has good vision in that eye to this day. That was many years ago. But she is very much a believer in potato poultices. And that's something that you can use, like I said, in the sensitive areas. You can wear that for several hours or for overnight, and you just repeat it until the pain is gone. Or whatever is in there, the infection or the splinter is drawn out. The next one we have is Cayenne Poultice. So cayenne pepper. A lot of people have not heard of this as a poultice, but it's very useful, very interesting. Cayenne pepper is one of those things that is useful in many different ways. You can actually add it to different herbs that you take internally, and it will increase or enhance the effect of that herb. Whatever you take it with, it increases the effect of it, because it is a blood stimulator. It's not a nerve stimulator. Like black pepper and chili peppers, those are nerve stimulators, and so that's a whole different effect that can be harmful internally on the body. But cayenne pepper is a blood stimulant, and so it is safe to use as a medicine, not as just a willy-nilly, as you please, but cayenne will wake up anything. All right? So it's something that will be useful for hypothyroidism. Even you can apply a cayenne poultice over the neck, over the thyroid, to help stimulate the thyroid. The thing you want to know is don't do it at night, because you won't sleep. It's stimulating that thyroid, which is going to wake you up. So you can do that in the morning, just for a few hours, but you would want to monitor, if you're on thyroid medicine, you would want to carefully monitor that with your medication as well, so work with your doctor on that. Another very good way to use it is for neuropathy, because it draws the blood down to the feet when you use it as a foot poultice, a cayenne poultice on the feet. So this is something that you can also use it for if you have chronically cold feet, to draw the blood there and be warming it up. You can see if you use it on the feet, you do it overnight. So it's on your feet while you're sleeping. So you're not even aware of it. For neuropathy, you're going to do it every 2 nights, so every other night. And then for cold feet or for poor circulation, you do it every 3 nights. And then over the throat for hypothyroidism. So, and until the symptoms relieve, and then you decrease that. So you're just going to get a strip of paper towel, and you're going to get some oil on there. Now there's nothing in the oil, this is just olive oil. This is to make the cayenne pepper stick to the paper towel, okay? That's all it is. or you can just drizzle a little oil over it as well. And then you're going to sprinkle about half a teaspoon of cayenne pepper over that. Okay? So there you've got your cayenne pepper poultice. And all you're going to do for that is, I forgot to get the plastic out first. Again, get your plastic wrap out. It's just always easier to work with it once it's doubled over. And you're going to set that on there. And you're going to have a bare foot. Say, this is my foot. Barefoot, you're going to put your foot on that. You're going to wrap the saran wrap around your foot. And you're just going to slip a sock over it and go to bed. You do it for both feet. It takes like less than 5 minutes. It's probably 2 minutes to make them and to put them on and just go to bed. And if your circulation is good, then you will notice you won't feel the heat through the night, but the next day after the poultice is off, if your feet feel like they are burning or on fire, that means you do not need to do this poultice. You have good circulation and it's not necessary. But if you don't have good circulation, then you are not going to be feeling that you have burning feet the next day. And so all during the night while you're wearing that is just drawing the blood there, increasing that circulation, which then is increasing the healing of it. And like I said, it's excellent to do for neuropathy and bringing the blood flow there to bring that healing. Very simple to do. You can make them up ahead of time, have the plastic under it, and just fold them over and have them ready to go for when you want to grab them and use them. Okay? So it's the same thing for over the thyroid, except you would do just a thin strip of it over the neck. And you can take it internally as well for sore throats. I have used that. You can gargle with it for a sore throat. Does it burn? Well, yes, it does. As Barbara O'Neill likes to call it, that it tingles. It tingles. It gives a little tingle for a while, and then that goes away. But like I said, it's not a nerve stimulant, so it's not harming you. It is stimulating the blood flow. You can use it also for thinning the blood, and there's instructions there for how much to take, how often, for a sore throat, and for increasing circulation, just drinking it internally. Also, actually for healing stomach ulcers. People think, what in the world? They're using cayenne pepper for stomach ulcers. It seems like that would be counterintuitive.
I want to mention a gentleman we had lived to be 101. His daughter sitting in the front. He used to take the capsules and fill them with the cayenne pepper. Just take the capsule per se, and it never hurt his stomach.
Right. Yeah. It doesn't hurt the stomach. Like I said, it can help with healing the stomach ulcers. But it is like medicine. You take it as needed for something that you're doing it for. Yeah, and it will give you good blood flow. It also is good for putting on wounds. If you have a wound and a cut that won't stop bleeding, you actually put cayenne onto that cut, and it stops the bleeding. And I mean, it burns a little bit at first, but it goes away.
Yeah. On the thyroid, how much of that do you come?
Just like from ear to ear.
3 years.
Yeah. Okay.
For the sore throat, does cayenne water have to be hot or cold?
It doesn't matter. I just do it in tap water. Yeah. So it will never burn or do harm inside or outside of the body. And it's something very useful to keep in your medicine cabinet. I even take it with me traveling, and if I start feeling sick, I add it to my water bottle, and I'm drinking cayenne water. And I did that a couple years ago when I went on a Reformation tour to Europe. And right at the beginning, I started feeling sick, and I'm like, I'm not spending this tour sick. I did not pay this money and come all this way to stay in a hotel room. And so I drank that, and I never got sick. I was fine, even though we were walking 7 to 9 miles a day and go, go, go. Yes.
Would it burn?
You feel it burning and warming as you drink it, but it does not burn you. Because like I said, it's not the nerve stimulant like the other peppers are. So it feels hot, but it's not harmingly burning you, if that makes sense. All right, garlic poultice. So this is something that is used for boosting the immune system and fighting sickness. You can use it on adults, on children, on babies, whatever. That doesn't matter. It's super simple to do, and all you need is a clove of garlic that you are going to get just a slice of. And you're going to have a strip of cloth. It could be, depending on what you're going to be wrapping it around, it could be a little bit longer. But this is more for like going on the bottom of the foot. Because again, all these garlic properties, we want getting into the system. And a good way to do that is by applying it to the bottom of the feet, all those large pores. So we've got a good slice here. All you're going to do is put it on that cloth and one wrap over, and then you're going to apply that to the bottom of the foot, whether it's a child's foot, a baby's foot, your foot. Say it again, this is my foot. I'm going to apply it there, and then I'm going to wrap the rest of the material around it to hold it in place, and I'm going to put my socks on and go. Now you can wear it overnight or you can wear it during the day, but you do have to have that one layer of material between your skin and the garlic, because otherwise it can burn the skin. And it always has to be sliced. You would never do this with crushed garlic, because that releases way too many of the oils and you will burn the skin. And so you have to be mindful of that. Don't crush it, don't mince it, just slice it, and those oils will be gradually released and soak into your system through the sole of your foot. And that's all a garlic poultice is. The sole of your foot, the bottom. Like this is the bottom of my foot here, yeah. So you put that there, and yeah, can wear it day or night. So very simple to do, and you can refresh that if you're doing it during the day, you can refresh it, get another fresh slice after you've been walking on that and squeezing all the good juices out of it, getting it into you. Now, no guarantee as to what your shoe is going to smell like if you do it during the day. So you may want to pick what shoes you wear, or just wear it at night and not have that as even an issue with it. So that's a very, very simple thing to do. If you have a child or a baby that's sick, you can just wrap garlic, a slice of garlic, on their foot and boost their immune system that way. You know, they can't eat it. Babies can't be eating garlic, but you can get it into their system through the feet. And if children don't want to eat it, because garlic is, I mean, there's so many things with garlic, but it is a natural antibiotic. And so I think Barbara O'Neill says that 4 garlic cloves a day is equal to an antibiotic. And so if you are getting sick or are sick, or we're around someone that's sick, if you do 4 raw cloves of garlic a day, that's like taking a natural antibiotic. And on your handout is different ideas for using that, and you can crush them and spread them on toast with avocado and tomato. You can mince it into salads or into salsa. You can put it into immune boosting drinks, all kinds of things, of different ways of getting those 4 cloves of garlic a day. You know, in Psalm 104, verse 14, it says that God has given us herbs for the service of man. And so all of these things, therefore, not only our internal consumption and good, but therefore our health and well-being of body, mind, and soul, as it said in that other quote. And so he has given us these herbs and these things for our service, that we can use them and apply them in skillful ways. You know, it's just, they're not hard to do. As you can see, I've done already 6 of them here in about 45 minutes in talking about them. We have one more to go, and that is the castor oil. So castor oil compresses or poultices, they're used for any unnatural bumps, growths, adhesions, such as cysts, gallstones, kidney stones, tumors, bone spurs, calcification. Also used for IBS, for irritable bowel syndrome, for diarrhea, constipation, fibroid, and all of those things. And so it's something where, you know, it's not like, wow, you're going to apply castor oil once and it's just going to boom, dissolve that growth right away. It doesn't work that way. It's much more slowly. You have to persist at it. You have to do it daily. It depends on how long that growth or bump or lump has been there, how large it is. There's so many varying factors as to how long you would need to apply a castor oil poultice to something like that. It can, with helping with the irritable bowel syndrome or diarrhea or constipation, it's kind of like it does in your system whatever it is that you're needing. It's an interesting substance. It is the thickest oil there is, and so it penetrates very deeply into the body, much more deeply than other oils like olive oil and those things. Castor oil is much thicker, and so it goes much deeper. And the different ways that you can make a castor oil poultice or compress is some places recommend getting wool flannel, like here, and then having it folded. It comes in this size. This is the small, and you're going to have it in several layers, because whatever you put the castor oil on, you need it to be thick. You're not going to be putting it on a paper towel. Okay, you need it somewhere where it's going to soak into. So you can use these wool flannels, or you can very easily make a compress pad like this using a Chuck's pad or an incontinence pad. What they're called. You can buy them even more cheaply at the pet store for potty training pads. There are those incontinence pads that has the material on one side and the plastic on the other side, and that helps with containing the oil and not soaking through the other side into your clothes and all of that. So all you do is you cut out a chunk of the Chuck's pad, and then you're going to get a well, I would say a washcloth, an old rag or washcloth, not quite a hand towel, but this is the size of a washcloth, and I stuck that in between the layers here. So I peeled away this white layer from the plastic, and I put a washcloth inside of that, and then I folded all the edges down and taped them. And so this is a nice thick pad for putting your castor oil onto. So what you're going to do, and this is often over the abdomen, you know, different sizes would go different places. You could do this over the abdomen for cystic fibrosis or for those things up there, constipation, diarrhea. You can do it over the back. If you're doing it for like a lump in the breast, you would obviously make it probably a quarter that size and be able to stuff it into the bra, those kinds of things. So just depending on what size you're using, all you're going to do is you're going to fill up about 1/3 of the center of your poultice with that oil. And you need to make sure that it is organic, hexane-free, and cold-pressed. Okay? So those are the things to be mindful of with castor oil. It's best to get organic, hexane-free, and cold-pressed. All right, so that, once you pour it out, you're going to want to let it set for about 30 minutes because it needs time to soak in to this pad. Because if you just take that and apply it to you, it's going to be dripping all over you. And castor oil is something you don't want to make a mess with because it definitely stains your clothes. It's like I said, a very thick oil, and so if that gets onto your clothing, it does stain. And so just to be mindful of that, it's starting to soak in, so I can hold it up now. But you just put some in that center point, and it's going to spread throughout that, and then after half an hour, you can then apply it to your body. And you're going to, pin it, depends on where you're wearing it. Maybe if it's over the abdomen, your pants might hold it on, or having a tight shirt, or you might need to tape it onto you using some medical grade tape that you can tape onto the skin. If you're doing it without the chucks pad and without that plastic, then I recommend that, again, you put saran wrap or plastic wrap over it. I have one back there and there.
I want to know, when I was a kid, my mom used to make us take castor oil and cod liver oil. We never were sick. I'm wondering how come there's nothing in the gate for ingesting it?
Ingesting, well, this is about poultices, so it's all about how to use it externally. Yeah, a lot of people grew up with taking it internally as well. Thankfully, I did not. I have heard stories about that. Not the most pleasant thing, for sure. But yeah, we're talking about how to apply these things externally.
Do you know what it's made from?
It is from a bean, a castor bean that is then cold pressed, a seed. Well, yeah. They come in they're little balls, and they're prickly on the outside, and then you open it up, and inside is what they use for the castor, pressing out the castor oil.
Do you know where you can purchase it? Because it looks locally and I haven't found any.
Purchasing it, yeah, well, some health food stores will supply it. Not all will. Amazon definitely has it. The internet, Amazon has everything, right? But yeah, most of the time health food stores can order it for you if you ask them to say, can you please order this for me? Hexane free. So Hexane, hexane free.
What is hexane?
I don't know. Just in researching it, that's what they always say, hexane free. Be sure you get hexane free. And I never looked that up. That's a good question. Yes.
Do you have any research that you could send us to?
In the research, it is just looking it up on Google. Google has a lot of it. I don't have it with me at work. I have articles printed out about it, yes. But I didn't bring that here. Using other uses, you can reuse this after you've worn it for a while. Just when it starts feeling like it's getting dry, add another teaspoon or so to refresh it. And then you can just keep using it. It's not a one-time use and then throw away. This is a many-time uses, as long as you're comfortable with using it. And you want to let it, after it sets for 30 minutes and you apply it and secure it, you're going to wear it for a minimum of 5 hours, 5 days a week. Okay? So again, that can be whenever part of the day you want to be doing that, but 5 hours, at least 5 hours or more for 5 days a week. And you can refresh it, like I said, using the Chucks pad. If you want to speed the absorption of the oil, you can lay a heating pad over it or a hot water bottle, something to heat up the oil that will drive it in to you a little faster and speed that up. And you'll put it over for 30 to 60 minutes. And just take care not to get it on your clothes or your sheets, like I said, because it will stain. So other uses for castor oil, actually, I have Barbara O'Neill talks about using it as eye drops for cataracts and glaucoma, because it can help with dissolving those. It takes time. You have to do it. It's not just like doing it a few times or using it for a week is gonna, wow, all of a sudden they're gone. But you definitely want to, if you're going to be putting it into you internally like that, making sure it's organic, hexane-free, and cold-pressed. And you do it at night, 1 to 2 drops, because obviously your sight's going to be a little blurry for a little while after doing that, because it's that thick oil that you just do it when you get in bed and then sleep, and the blurriness is gone in the morning. Yes?
Can you elaborate about dissolving the gallstones?
Gallstones, it's just that you would put the poultice over the gallbladder area.